Good evening, fellow ghouls and specters alike. It's your ghost host with the most, Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5, here to engage in some haunted holiday hijinks by trudging through the catacombs and dusting off the cobwebs as we recount our spooky selection of Halloween classics.
So light the jack-o'-lantern suit up and grab the candy dish as we revive and recount tonight's spooky selection, Phantom of the Megaplex. The girlfriend in this movie is so bland, it's scary. Ooh. All right.
Is that really necessary?
Yes, it was. Okay, so Dragon, that just kind of dives right into my thesis here. I think Phantom of the Megaplex is actually kind of phenomenal for a lot of reasons. I love the cast of characters. I think that it's got a really good mystery built into it. Let's see. Just all kinds of stuff going right with it. I love the singular setting, Dragon. I love the fact that this is one of the few DCOM Disney Channel original movies with that's basically a bottle episode, and I really appreciate that. And the singular setting just really makes this one sing. Of course, Mickey Rooney has a very memorable role here. I mean, there's so many things about this movie that I like so much, Dragon. I really do. But man, that love interest is just totally pointless. And honestly, every time she's on screen, I just kind of get irritated because I'm like, do you really have to be there? Do you really even have, like? Could this be like a story about a brother learning to spend more times with his siblings? Which it really is. Like, why do we have to have the love interest in there, Dragon? That's my only qualm with the movie. Otherwise, I would say that this is absolutely like the perfect DCOM. So yeah, I do have to address it up front.
Right. All right. Well, kind of thesis, and also a little bit of nostalgia for me. I got quite a bit of nostalgia for this one. This was again very, very nostalgic.
Seeing this one.
Right. So yeah, it's a very nostalgic DCOM for me. I mean, I remember I taped this thing on VHS because of the marketing campaign. It was really again Disney back in the day. They had again their marketing was quite on point. It was, it had a great build up with like for the premiere. This is coming on, I believe, in October, probably around Halloween. Go figure. Had a very, of course, it was very, very interesting with the setting. Of course, like, oh my God, it's about movies, and we're at the movies. How cool was that? But it was very much kind of this. There's also kind of like a mystery angle with the thing of like who's the Phantom, and they're kind of like teeing up like a few suspects, kind of like Roger Rabbit style. Could it be him or her? Yeah, that sort of thing. Going back to it years later, because it's been years since since I watched this. I remember when I initially taped it on VHS, there was this horrible thing that happened. It was like one of those like TV malfunctions where essentially I don't know what happened. Like essentially, you kind of taped blackness for a while because like one of the settings didn't go off or something. So I saw the movie up until like half of the third act. Like, wait, who was the Phantom?
Oh no!
Who was the Phantom?
Oh, that must have driven you crazy.
It did. So again, it took like a repeat viewing to kind of find out who the Phantom was. But that's the thing; it's always kind of been in the back of my mind for kind of that that nostalgic memory. But again, like going back to it now, of course, we now can, thanks to the advent of Disney Plus, very easily. It's a little more. It's more flawed than I recalled, for sure. It was never Yates. I'll make no compunction about it. It was never Yates. I'm aware of this. But importantly, though, it has charm for sure. This thing's got some wonderful charm to it. And Mickey Rooney being the chief example of such. I think ultimately the biggest problem with the movie, collectively, less the girlfriend, more I think the pacing as a whole I think the pacing hurts it. But I love what it's saying about kind of the magic of film and kind of the behind the scenes of like what goes into the making of a premiere and the you making a screening happen, making like kind of like a big kind of like back when we had the midnight screenings, back when that was a thing.
Right.
I don't mean I'm saying even going back like before we had to move everything up before midnight, that sort of thing. Like, it was been a while since we've had the midnight screenings.
Dragon, no. I know what you're saying, Dragon. I was there for those midnight screenings,
Yeah,
buddy. I was there for Revenge of the Sith, all right?
yeah, oh, yeah. I'm just saying for the kids
Anyways.
now, and now it's getting becoming more and more of
No,
a
no, no. Just to put context for the kids now who might not have even been alive in 2005 when Revenge of the Sith came out, I was there. I was in middle school, and I was waiting till midnight to watch the movie, 2.5 hour movie. And my sister and I were fucking stoked for it, and we had adrenaline just pumping through our veins the whole night. Anyways, good times.
So yeah, basically, at the end of the day, we kind of have like we're seeing the behind the scenes magic of a screening and kind of a cutesy update on kind of a cutesy updating nod on the Phantom of the Opera. It's kind of like what if the Phantom of the Opera was at a movie theater instead of like a traditional theater, but again, it was kind of in the 2000s instead of like kind of the usual ball of wax.
Right? Yeah. So let's see. Go ahead and do a plot summary for us, Dragon.
Okay, let me give you a little plot summary here. Again, it's not a movie without a plot summary. Am I right? All right, so it's the night of the big premiere at the Grande Megaplex, 26 screener, and nothing's going right. Nothing's going right, and there's a lot of speculation about that it's the work of the famed Phantom of the Megaplex, and it's the Phantom's doing that. He's ruining this big old premiere going on tonight. This big old midnight screening, and it's up to the hardworking assistant manager Pete Riley, his kid siblings, and an intrepid cast of co-workers to salvage this night and also solve the mystery of the Phantom's big third act plot for the grand finale in all this midnight mayhem. That's the movie.
All right, so let's get into the characters of it all. So we start with Pete Riley. Dragon, again, just to address it up front, because to me it is kind of like the big elephant in the room. Like, I don't know, more than the pacing for me. We'll get into that with pros and cons. I didn't really have an issue with the pacing. But, Dragon, I just think this movie would have been much more richer and more fulfilling if we just straight up didn't have a love interest. I just honestly I feel like the dynamic that he has with his siblings is so much better developed that I feel like that's the heart of the movie, and the love interest just literally kind of like Dragon. I swear to, I'm not exaggerating when I say this. This girl might have like maybe 3 lines in the whole movie.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm so surprised you're so bothered by it because it
I'm
barely does
bothered by
anything.
it simply because it's such a thankless role, Dragon. I don't know. I mean, I just like at this point just cut her out. But other than that, I mean, yeah, Pete is kind of like a proto, like this kid is kind of like a proto Shia LaBeouf type. He does like I don't exactly know the actor, but he does kind of very much feel like he comes from the school of Disney Channel. Would I know him from anything else, Dragon?
Well, I mean, Smart Money says probably not. Okay, I think he might have been the bully in Jack Frost. I'm not sure.
Oh wow,
He was in
okay,
Jack
that's a
Frost.
random pool.
I can't remember who he was. He was Rory Buck in Jack Frost, and I believe that was yeah, yeah, it was the bully. Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. I know. No, I know it for sure. He was the bully in Jack Frost. But again, the bully who came around those. He was a bully with layers. So
All right, so Pete, what I like about him is I do kind of like he is kind of like me in the workplace. You know, he's very much like striving to be the best he can be in spite of everyone else kind of being like, all right, this job isn't that serious, bro. Take it easy. But by the same time, Dragon, what I like about Pete is that I like how he's contrasted to be the everyman against this cast of characters, but in a good way, you know, and kind of like he's the level-headed one. He's not really bland. He's just, he's got this whole staff who's just like really over the top and have all these nicknames, which we'll get to. They're a lot of fun. But it very much reminds me of like a like a Scholastic Book Fair type of affair with those nicknames, Dragon.
I know. We'll get there.
All right. But yeah, Pete, I just think he's a very likable main character. Like I said, he's just kind of like a proto Shia LaBeouf type, and I like the fact that he has an arc of like kind of coming around to the magic of movies, and like I said, the stuff with his siblings is genuinely, I feel like, really pretty well written. The only thing that bothers me is kind of like the girl in pink kind of hanging around who never says anything throughout most of the movie, but that's not really his fault.
Yeah, I mean, with Pete, I like he's kind of like he's a real Charlie Hustle type. I mean, the kid's putting in some honest work here. I mean, basically, I love that he's like the captain of it's like a captain of the ship angle with the Megaplex. He's the he's working his way up. He's kind of like captaining the ship of like on like the night where everything's going wrong, and he's keeping everyone level headed. Again, he's got the confidence, he's got the experience. Everyone kind of respects him, and that okay, this guy we defer to this guy because he knows how to get us out of Dodge. He's answering the call of responsibility. I'll admit, though, via the girl thing, let me put it this way. Not too developed outside of trying to impress a girl. It's like the only thing we give him, which given we don't do a lot with the girl, kind of, again, it kind of boxes him up there. Where, again, T, my issue is that you keep saying the whole, he's got to done it with the siblings thing. I mean, when we get to the siblings, I think you'll see what I'm getting at here, but it's just, I think we keep repeating the same thing with Pete a little bit in this film.
No,
You gotta
you're
relax,
absolutely
man.
right. It's not like a totally fully fleshed out three-dimensional character. He's likable, but he's not much to write home about.
That's what I'm saying. This guy, let me put it this way, he's a little prototypical, but he's fine though. He's fine.
Sure,
he's a kid you can root for. I can get behind this kid. I just wish there's a little more to him. And this is what I'm saying with the pacing, where we go a little like we didn't need to cut outside the theater at all in this film, which we'll get to that with cons, but.
Well, I don't know. I might have different feelings with regards to the parents, but we'll get there.
All right. But basically, he has like this arc of like smell the roses and taking a movie versus like all the behind the scenes and the big business of the movie. Again, the whole magical kind of the cinemagic of it all, you will. And also, I gotta admit that with the girl thing, he has a really charming bit with the bow tie. Remember the whole like, are you making fun of my bow tie? That's what I'm saying. Like the one scene they had.
But that's all him, though, Dragon. That's all him. She's like, it's such a thankless role, and that's still what bothers me.
And that's what I'm saying. I mean, the only other big example I give really Pete in terms of personality, that really kind of charmed me was I love the whole like gumball. Some people might say, "Oh, yeah, you like that?" Well, I'm serious. Like the whole like using the hockey stick, the sweep of the gumballs was really kind of nice. It was like, "Hey, we're cheering." We didn't do the classic thing where it's like, "Oh, he's gonna get in trouble with the boss because he's doing something."
No, I like that too, and I feel like the movie could have been a lot more like beat you over the head of like, oh no, the boss isn't going to be happy about this, but they really do. They really kind of peel that back a little bit. There's not as much of that kind of stuff as you would think for this premise. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's more the looming threat of the guy over the phone than anything else.
Certainly, Niedermeyer. Yeah. I think a little blending work and pleasure bit with that gumball scene. All right.
Sure.
Speaking of gumballs, who started that gumball hullabaloo? Let's talk about the kids. Let's talk about the siblings, the other Riley offspring.
So what problems do you have with these kids, Dragon?
Okay, well, here's the thing. It's kind of a half and half.
Honestly.
So Karen and Brian. I like Brian. Karen, yeah.
What do you have against her?
Okay, here's the thing. I think, especially towards the start of the film, she's honestly throughout the whole thing, she's a little all over the place. She's rough in places, as in, she wants very simple goal, right? She wants to sneak into an R-rated movie, essentially, like a horror movie. That's fine. I can wrap my head around that. Simple, yet, okay, you situate the brother, you're gonna watch the movie, yet. She's not enjoying it. She's getting up every 5 minutes. Her friends are kind of jerks. I mean, I don't. It just seems.
I will give you that. The friends are like, if there's, like, the friends aren't as thankless of a role as the girlfriend because at least they have a couple lines here and there. But still, they're not much. They're not much to write home about.
And honestly, the moment that really kills this character for me in a part, it's not the character's not the worst thing in the world. I'm just saying the thing of like I think. There was a scene in the movie, I think all the worst acting is kind of compressed into this one scene for all parties involved. But her side of it was, I hate my life, like you're like talking, yelling at her mom about like I'm stuck babysitting my brother, and I
It
can't
was a
see
rough
the.
it was a rough opening scene. I will definitely give you that much.
See, that's what I'm saying. I think they all started in a rough place, and I feel the boy. I think Brian, he recovered from it a lot better than she did. She was just kind of dragged around the movie, and this is a character. Basically, her whole role in the movie is to say the same thing. Pete, you used to be fun. You need to be fun. It's like that's like her whole
Right,
job in the movie.
right,
That and like
right.
keep getting up during the movie. She can't sit down during the movie. It's a Brian though. Brian grows on you, especially when he calls out the tropes and he's like, well, maybe take the tape off his
It's
mouth.
like a little
Always
mini Seth Rogen dragon, or Seth Green. I'm sorry, Seth
there you
Green.
go. Yeah, little Seth Green. You're really going to the pro. You're really kind of going to the into the well with
Well,
the Shiloh.
I feel like this movie kind of calls that comparison though.
I'm down for
But
it. So, but anyway, I like that the kid, gets things done. He's a little proactive. He's like, hey, let's find out who this Phantom guy is, who's clearly running amok and causing all this mischief. And it's like he quiets all the irate moviegoers. Like the kid becomes really useful, and he's really grilling and interrogating people in
well,
places.
yeah, that's the thing. I like the fact that
Yeah,
the kid. I feel like Pete's arc with Karen is more of kind of like an emotional one, like kind of like Karen sort of represents for him and his family the sheer love of movies. But with Brian, Brian's obviously the more helpful of the two. Like he's there. Like he definitely has a more proactive part to play.
sure.
Um. Okay, go ahead.
That's it.
All right. Okay, so next up we have the staff. All right.
So yeah, I
This
absolutely
is by
concur
far
with
the
you.
strongest part of the movie, I think.
This is absolutely a very Scholastic Book Fair kind of
Oh
type.
God, yes.
You can just picture like reading the stuff and the scene
Uh-huh.
like we're
Uh-huh.
establishing all the news. I really some it just feels so charming and it's antiquated in the best possible way.
Oh
It just
man.
feels like this feels like this is how you establish your characters quickly and they're all quite for the most part. I think they're all quite memorable. I think some of them they could have been amalgam, but I mean I can get behind. They're all fun. So
Uh-huh.
we have Merle. Merle is kind of like the almost like the Merlin of the place, and that he's responsible for the movie magic, and that he's the projectionist. Which again, so funny looking at this now, and again, I have no idea how. Again, it's the thing in preserving the magic of the theaters back when it was a thing where it's where, um, you hadn't. I don't know if they've updated the projection thing since then. Since this is 20 years ago, literally, it's the 20th anniversary of this thing.
Yeah.
So I wonder because again, it was more of a complicated thing. You got to adjust all the dials and everything, and of course, of the film reels. And sometimes that just seems like it's like a glorified DVD player these days, like
I
glorified.
think these days it is a glorified DVD player, Dragon.
That's what I'm saying. Like the last time, like I remember, like once I was at a screening, I saw like a desktop thing on the screen.
Uh-huh.
But
Uh-huh.
that makes me think it's all computerized, just like or like a streamlined Blu-ray player or something. Like you know, but I like it. This is back in the day where he had a projectionist whiz, and he's also a red herring. I admit I can't tell, and I love that I can't tell. Like half his dialogue sounds like it may have been made up when he's giving all the projectionist jargon. I can't. Some of it sounds real, some of it does not. But I can dig it, man. Because again, you believe this guy knows what he's talking about. You buy it.
I also like the fact that, like you said, he's kind of like the wise old sage in the story. Like, he's probably like what, like in his 30s, hanging
Yeah.
with this job with a bunch of kids. So,
Exactly. He's the eldest. He's the elder statesman of the Mary Brew. Speaking of the Mary Brew, so we have my honestly probably my favorite, Hillary Honey. Man,
I
I love
think
Hillary
she
Honey.
probably gets the most screen time, and yeah, she is my favorite.
Yeah, she's like this nice, kind of matronly demeanor. She's a young woman, but still just very, she's still just very nice and like calling everyone honey and sweetie and all that sort of stuff. Just real nice and comforting. Like, oh man, that Hillary, she's a nice coworker. I like. Let's see. And we have Ricky Rules. Very very much a procedure nut. I can get behind that. I dig a procedure nut. We have one of the best.
Question mark.
Yes, question mark. Probably the most memorable runner in the film. I gotta be honest with all the intrepid staff. Like just question mark. He's just always answering everything with a question. Just yeah, kind of permitted.
Ricky Rules is probably the one who gets the most overshadowed, would you say?
He does, and that's what I'm saying. Part of me feels some of these guys could have been combined because I like their gimmicks, but by the same token, like Ricky Rules and question mark, they could have been combined somewhat.
I also feel like maybe Hillary and Racy Lacey could have been combined.
Well, here's the thing. I think Racy Lacey and Scary Terry should have been combined, just to kind of go over them. So Racy Lacey, pretty straightforward, just rushes around a lot of get up and go. That's a real one note gimmick. And we have Scary Terry as a memorable look, but let's be honest, she's completely pointless to the film. We don't need Scary. I like look, nothing against Terry, but she just
I mean,
wasn't.
you would think that she'd be like maybe the one to be big into the Phantom stuff. You know what I mean? But no, she's just there.
I think there's like one beat where maybe they go that route, but then they just kind of quickly.
Right, right.
That's what I'm saying. Like mix, like make Terry a little more memorable, make her like Racy Lacey. I don't know. At the point, it could have been combined, but overall, again, I appreciate the scholastic charm in the memorable names and like the one-off gimmicks. Because again, it's kind of fun to see them throughout the. I really like the staff. The staff were a lot of fun.
And also, I just, generally speaking, just really like the. Well, I'll get to that with pros. I'm sorry. Okay. So, Sean Mcgibbon.
Yes, old Johnny boy. So overstressed
I like
manager.
about this character is I feel like this character could have been really irritating, but I feel like the writing and the performance kind of give him a little bit of like a little bit of charm and a little bit of kind of like respectability. You know what I mean? Like, I love the moment where he finds out that he's not going to get the the manager job, and he kind of takes a beat, and he's like, "Well, no, we're going to keep going. Let's be professional." And of course, we're going to find out his ulterior motives and everything like that. But I feel like he does. He's a great. I feel like he's a great kind of like mystery, because it's like you don't really get his motivation. He masks his motivations very well. You know what I mean?
That he does, that he does. And again, I love that you can kind of see the genesis of those motivations in that moment where, again, like I would say that's the reason right there he was passed over for the promotion, that wonderful beat that we take where he's just taking it in. He just wants Niedermeyer to be proud of his boy at the end of that. That's all he really wants.
Yeah.
So yeah, and also I like that there's a bit of here's the thing, there's a bit of a bond with Pete that he forges, but then instantly he's but also if anything goes wrong, I'm going to use you as my scapegoat. So file that away too.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. It's like I feel like that could be like an instantly unlikable thing with him, but I feel like I don't know. He's a tryhard, but he's not like an insufferable tryhard.
I mean, you feel a little bit of sympathy where he's the guy dealing with the big boss calling like the theater owner calling every like 5 minutes about like how are things going. It's like, oh boy, it's a guy dealing with his again. It's like it's middle management, even though he's the top dog at that theater technically. He's yeah. And of course, he goes crazy too. I mean, he goes off his rocker. I'll say that much at this point.
Right. All right, now let's talk about easily the best part of the movie, maybe the best part of like any decom.
This is the main reason we're talking about this, by the way. He's the most memorable aspect of the whole thing.
Mickey Rooney is Movie Mason.
Yes.
Oh my god, just wow. I mean, I feel like it's a little like it's very much kind of like, oh, don't you just love the magic of it's almost fourth wall breaking. You know what I mean? It's almost fourth wall breaking. But
I mean, Tiki, it's Mr. My uncle's got a barn. Let's put on a show. It's Mr.
I understand that, Dragon. I understand that. But but what I like about it is that like I like the initial premise behind his character, where he's this man who's so attached to the theater, and he won't let it go, and he wants to work there, and he wants to just do anything he can to support the place. Of course, I think the funniest scene in the movie is his refusing to let people into the movies he doesn't like.
God.
But I like how he has a very convincing argument. It's just like, this is your hard-earned money, son, and movies are supposed to be a magical experience. Why don't you just give this film a chance? It's nominated for 4 Academy Awards. You owe it to yourself.
We need. It's such a shame. We need Mickey Rooney now more than we ever have before.
Dude, we need a guy like this as the ticket taker for like every movie when theaters come back.
Absolutely. Like a digital version of them or something. I mean, just for the interim. But yes, of course. I mean, there's Mickey Rooney. One is a lot of fun, but he also lends a lot of credibility. Again, he kind of the man just everything the man touches is like touches of cinematic stardust all throughout the place. He has a good feel. He's a relic trying to essentially the quote kind of debatably Mysterio-ish Campbell in Spider-Man 2. He wants to maintain the illusion.
Right.
So that's the thing. I love that he's the older one of the older owners he's kind of looking for purpose. He's very earnest and he loves movies to the point where
Definitely, I feel like his character was probably written by someone who knows old timer like lifer cast members at Disney parks, because it very much feels like someone like that.
yeah, you kind of put it like that. Yeah, you're right. It is kind of a lifer quality to him there, and I like that he's a red herring. He's a prime suspect. Given we have for me one of the most memorable qualities about the movie, the thing I'll never forget ever from this film, is the firing of movie Mason and how sad it was. But yeah, it's like sad and how Mickey Rooney has like three scenes that are one wondrous in this film.
Yeah.
Have, like when he's fired, it's so sad. Like he gets the the Velcro bow tie ripped off. And will not be spoken to as if I'm a canine after he gets into trouble for like not letting people in the movie, which is kind of understandable, but still.
It's a very understandable. Yeah.
But to be fair, Sean was a real prick to movie Mason. He kept throwing away his little itinerary. Hey, here are my hours if you ever need me. He's like throwing them in a garbage right in front of him. Oh, poor. How dare you break Mickey Rooney's heart? But just the bit where he's like, the kids are like, hey, you can't talk to movie Mason like that. He's a legend. Again, one could say a Disney legend in this case. But point being legend. But then the bit that haunts me is Mickey Rooney's movie Mason going down the escalator and just with a triumph and like a spring in a step saying, "Enjoy the show. Tell the theater when I'm not here, the magic will never be far from my heart." I mean, if you had like a last kind of like word on Mickey Rooney, wouldn't that be perfect? You know? Him going down the escalator takes him down after that line. He's just gone. And again, like that's wonderful though. And then later on, I love his redemption where he kind of comes back and it's Mickey Rooney outside calming all the people like bustling to get in. They'll see the red carpet and everything being held up for God knows how long because everything is going wrong in this film. Just like singing "Hooray for Hollywood" and charming the pants off the folks. How wonderful is that?
No, I mean, like you said, like Mickey Rooney is easily like. I mean, the staff is fun. The mystery is a good mystery, but Mickey Rooney is like the reason to watch this movie.
Absolutely,
totally.
100%. Gotta watch it for Mickey Rooney, kids. I mean, like honestly, towards the end, Mickey Rooney had this film and you had Night at the Museum, were like some really excellent.
Oh, Night at the Museum, right. I
mean, just imagine, he was great in Night, especially the first one because they had like cameos in kind of the other ones. Technically, there was a deleted one in the second movie. The point being, he was present for all three in some way, shape, or form. The first one, he was great.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's talk briefly about the Phantom of it all.
All right, so Sean is the Phantom, and Dragon. I got to admit, this movie did kind of have me. At first, I was convinced it was Mickey Rooney.
And again, he had great motivation for it. Again, the connection to the theater. And here's the great thing about the Phantom. I completely forgot about it until years later. Realized it's been a long time since I've seen this because again, VHS tape and now advent of Disney Plus. But here's the thing. So, Phantom Megaplex, the built-in mythology that we start the movie off with is that the first movie that played at the original theater was Phantom of the Opera, and there was rumor that when it kind of was demolished, and he's like the footage like a hotel or something being demolished, is like stock footage of the demolished theater. There was a rumor that there was one dedicated movie patron trapped in there. That went down with the ship. Essentially, they kind of got caught in the destruction of the theaters. There's always had that eerie quality that a phantom might exist in the recesses of the place. And so, dead ringer for Mason. You think he's got to be the guy, and but if he were doing all this, and the reason it's not Mason is that it would have been corrupting the experience for everyone. It would have ruined their movie-going experience, which Mason would never do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. So,
Well, the vandalism too. I mean, that's all.
of
I like
course,
how it's
yeah.
all tied to specific movies, like the cyclone and everything. And
That I feel like is really, really like it's a very clever mystery, and honestly, with some of my favorite parts of the movie are when when the movies line up with what's going on, like Farmer John, like I told her to stay right here. Why didn't she listen to me?
yeah. Oh god. And
By the way,
the
that
giant.
Farmer John movie just looks delightfully silly.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, all these they had these fake movies for the film, and they all look
Right.
terrible.
But I mean, say what you will about the pacing, but I at least like the fact that there's a lot of memorable set pieces associated with the different movies. Like, I feel like it's paced pretty well in that regard.
No, in that regard, sure. I'm just saying when we kind of come out of the theater, that's well, okay. Also, one thing you mentioned too with the vandalism and all this kind of stuff we do. I love that. Again, it's a different time. 20 years ago, you can get away with that sort of stuff. Now, in many regards, you can't. We can't screw around with the movies anymore. I mean, now more than ever.
uh,
Right. Okay, so let's talk. Let's pro con this sucker. Let's let's project some pros. Let's talk some cinematic cons, as it were.
All right, so pro definitely. I think the bottle location is
Mm-hmm.
excellent. I love the Megaplex just in general. Like I like how high tech it is. I feel like it's definitely like one of those theaters that would have been like mind blowing in the '90s, and I feel like today with the 26 screens, that's still a very impressive amount of screens even today.
The design of the place is great. I mean, it's a big, spacious location. You got a bunch of escalators. I mean, the best theater the closest thing I ever went to a place like this was like I don't know if you have those in your neck of the woods. A Cinemark. Did that ring any bells? You ever have a Cinemark?
I have never been to a Cinemark. I don't. Maybe I went to one at Universal. I think the one I went to Universal to see Onward in actually was a Cinemark.
See, I went to a Cinemark twice for Fathom events.
And those do have escalators, yeah.
So I went there for Phantasm when they re-released it for the 25th anniversary, and for Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Nice, nice.
Oh, sorry, Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. So the point being, again, it kind of took me back to there. It has like a built-in arcade, but this is even cooler, man. Plus, it has like there's some really the designs like again very problematic for the course of the movie, like all these like the giant gumball dispensers. If someone goes awry, it's a Buster Keaton movie. But still, you know.
Yeah. Let's see. Dragon. One of the things I like the most about this movie is just I love the workplace shenanigans, for lack of a better word. I don't know. I feel like this is an excellent workplace movie.
I concur, and again, like the plucky staff, which is another I have, like the staff of the plucky and intrepid, all these very memorable personalities. That kind of helps in that too. Mickey Rooney, quite clear. I mean, MVP.
Obviously.
Certainly. Let me. The Mason's Phantom, his big Phantom moment, where he's in the prop storage room, very kind of Phantom of the Opera style, and we have this beautiful moment with Mickey Rooney where he says the magic is all around us, and they going about how in life you have like all like the birth of a child, like him, like like sort of like a child splashing in the bath for the first time or something like that. Where it's it's the magic around us in the simple pleasures versus kind of over time everything gets demystified, but there's always magic in movies. That's what I'm talking about. When Mickey really he brought it in all those scenes. They had like 5 scenes probably total in the movie, but he brought in every single one of them.
I'll give you a big pro. Like I said, the set pieces, but especially Dragon. I love the shadow fight at the end.
That's cool. It's all again. They're all being charmed by a movie, even though there's no. That's cool. Speaking of which, I love the giant balloons. I love the giant inflatable, like the
the semi like Jurassic Park kind of moment where the guy almost gets eaten by the balloon.
It's silly, but again, the way it's staged is awesome. It just kind of comes out of there. How it doesn't matter. It's a movie. But I'm saying it's like eating people and it's flailing the arms, and it makes sense. Yeah, we'd be blowing up and causing all sorts of chaos. And hey, if it tipped over and if there was someone standing under, it wouldn't be good.
Right.
Like that, like we surround all the other doors, like the King Kong esque ones and everything. That's Lady Kong for some reason. So yeah, man, just in total, like the movie's paralleling the cheese situations, along with that, and as you mentioned before, with the whole like, and where I told her not to go anywhere. It's just,
Yeah.
a lot of fun there. It's not fully done there, but I do like the message within the parallel here. If Pete and Sean, they essentially are in parallel to each other. Where if Pete
They are.
doesn't
They are. Yeah.
if Pete doesn't stop and smell the roses and enjoy life, per the message of the movie, he'll be living for the next promotion and could become Mcgibbon, and essentially go crazy and become a phantom himself for all he knows. That's the moral of the piece. I like that. At least it's there for the most part. I like that. Mr. Niedermeyer, did you recognize him?
Oh no, no. Tell me.
He was the guarantee fairy guy from Tommy Boy. Remember the whole "there's not a guarantee on the box."
All right, fair enough. Fair
I was saying it
enough.
was like a fun pull. It's like, oh my god, I forgot it was him. I didn't recognize him with the beard for a second, but it's him. It's the guarantee fairy guy. Yeah.
God.
I really like again with the girl. Again, she doesn't do much, but I do like the bits that surround her, and I do love the whole like, hey, after he has like the big moment, like, no, I'm not going to take that promotion. Actually, I like the night off. Says, enjoy the film, and here it gives him like gives him a 50. Take the girl to breakfast after the premiere because it's midnight. So yeah, take her for breakfast. That's a nice gesture.
That is a nice gesture, as useless as the girl is.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
All right.
Speaking of useless.
All right, you want to get to the cons?
Yeah, let's get to some cons here. So,
all right, so obviously, I think the girl is the weakest part of the movie, Dragon. I'm sorry, I can't even care to remember her name. I feel like, even though she doesn't have much screen time, the fact that she's just kind of like there, hanging out in the background, it's to me, Dragon. This is going to be my new go-to example of like a useless love interest, Dragon. Just completely pointless to the film. You could have entirely cut her out, and the movie would have been better for it.
I concur, but I also want to make the point that Tiki, compared to how we circumvent certain things in this movie, that trope could have been a lot worse. Okay, it could have been a lot worse. You're right. We could have cut her though. But still, I mean, it would have been.
I'm just saying, how refreshing would it have been to have one of these damn movies without an actual love interest?
I hear you. I'm with you. I'm just saying. I mean, it could have been
like the magic of movies is the love interest in this movie, Dragon.
You're right. You're right. So speaking of which, I mean, here's the thing. I had a weird moment with the again because it's a very half-hearted kind of love interest thing. Because remember we had kind of the pseudo rival suitor guy in Donnie.
Yeah, and you could have cut him out too. He achieves nothing. I think Sean is easily the better kind of like rival type character.
I mean, he is, but that's the thing. We have these weird moments where like it looks like, hey, we're trying to add layers to him. We're trying to help the kid out with the gumball thing, and he just leaves. No, it was the kid. It was the kid's like, well, we was wasted that, and the whole like, what are you gonna do?
Right.
Like, well, yeah, why didn't you throw him? We didn't have any payoff to this douchey Donnie guy. Like he's like the whole
nothing.
That's what I'm saying. Really,
that's why I'm saying you could just cut the whole girlfriend plot entirely out of the movie. Maybe give a couple more scenes to the siblings to flesh out their dynamic with Pete.
See, this is what I'm saying with okay. So back to my pacing thing here. I feel we're drawn, even though it's an hour and a half movie, and it's a little maybe a little hair under an hour and a half, like hour 27 minutes if you want to be all technical and stuff. But the point being, it's like we have moments like that where we have a few things we could cut, and then we also have like the mom and George subplot where she's it just feels like wasted screen time and like a really ridiculous plant analogy for the proposal thing. Where look, if you want to have that,
I think it's likable enough. It doesn't bother me nearly as much as the girlfriend stuff does.
It just feels really jammed in there. Like we need to end all our proposals. So hey, potted plant analogy. It's not going to land.
But I don't know. But for some reason, I just really I like the fact that it's a decom where the guy where the kids are like actively rooting for the guy. Yeah. I was charmed by that. Like I think that's a nice subversion.
Sure, I mean, I guess in that regard, yeah, I mean, they're likable. It just feels like, well, we're not going to really spend much time with them. So why are we even dedicating time to that?
I don't know. I hear you. I get what you're saying. Like I said, I feel like at least there's a certain charm to those characters that's not there with the invisible pink girl and the douchey Derek guy.
That's what I'm saying. If it's all about the movie love, we don't have any time for the other love in this movie on all fronts. Honestly, when you think
It's
about
a
it,
parallel, Dragon. It's a parallel.
all right. Okay. Also, here's my other biggest problem with the movie
Okay.
is not so much a pacing. He's just like, no one's watching these terrible movies.
Right, right.
There's a bunch of jerks in
I
the
mean,
theater.
you already mentioned Karen kind of just like ditching the movie after like 5 minutes. Like that's
And of
kind of a
course,
weird issue.
and we have this bit too, like like the little popular girls you see in the movie with like, hey, everybody, welcome everybody as they go in the movie. We're having fun, right? Hey, cutting it close, 15 seconds. You're holding the door open for everyone, man. 15 seconds.
Right, right.
And like, and they're like they're shouting like jerks, like, hey, I'm Karen. I'm not, not a real name.
Oh man, okay, let me just tell you, like that would cross a line of friendship with me,
That's what
dude.
I'm saying. Like, why is she hanging out with these girls, and why,
Yeah,
like, just
these girls are very much. Honestly, Dragon, I feel like it's kind of like a half baked, like, oh, this is like the wrong crowd, and this is the
yeah.
reason why she shouldn't grow up so fast. And
But yet again, you don't
I
do
feel like
anything.
there's kind of like, hold on, I feel like there's kind of like a, kind of like a loop around arc to Pete's arc, where they're both kind of like growing up too fast in different regards, where she wants to be a teenager, but she needs to be a kid, and Pete wants to be an adult, but he needs to be a teenager. You get what I'm saying there?
I get what you're saying.
Like there's something there. It just doesn't land.
That's what I'm saying. I think if you have a point, but again, doesn't land though.
Hmm. All right.
I think that's. Oh yeah, okay. So Mcgibbon's motive, it's there. Maybe a little iffy though, because like, how does he tie himself up like so often?
That bothers me. That absolutely bothers me. Like
Because once
when
I
the
get
reveal
it, but
happened, I was like,
twice.
okay, it makes sense from a motivation perspective. But the first thought I had was like, okay, well, the tying himself up thing is really elaborate. I mean, come on.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I get the like once maybe, okay, once maybe it's like okay, he's
Right,
beyond suspicion,
right.
all right, but like he's doing it twice. He keeps disappearing, which I mean he has to do so he can do his phantoms. Because the phantom, I love how elaborate the phantom can get with his vandalism and everything. It's quite clever. But by the same token, it's just like I mean, it's like he's doing all this to get Niedermeyer's attention. I think the idea, and I don't think it quite lands in the big Scooby Doo unmasking moment, mind you, but I think the main idea is that this guy he passed me for the promotion. I'm going to show him that without me, this place lands in the chaos. I think that's his point. But still, it's like if you really needle at that. If you needle away at that, like, what does that really make a lot of sense? But I mean, the
Right.
gag is he sells the movie rights for this ridiculous thing, which obviously we're watching before us right now, being the gag. I'll say, I love he sells the movie rights. So he basically goes crazy, then he goes Hollywood. And that's how it
Well,
works
what's
in
the
the
difference,
movies.
Dragon? What's the difference?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's how you fail upward in Hollywood. That's how it works.
All right.
All right.
I think that's about it. So let's roll the credits, Dragon. Final
In immortal
thoughts.
words of Kevin Smith, credits.
Credits.
Your final thoughts of this puppy. What do you got?
Okay. Uh, yeah, I think this is a super charming movie, man. Like I said, I think it's a great kind of like my first workplace comedy for kids. It's got a lot of memorable character concepts, if not fully fleshed out characters a lot of the time. Obviously, Mickey Rooney is incredible. I think Mickey Rooney might be the single best part of any DCOM ever, in my opinion.
Quite possible.
I think the mystery is really good, except for, like we said, the one nitpick about like how he keeps tying himself up. Other than that, I think it lands, and I think there's good red herrings. I feel like it's got some really great set pieces in it, and just overall, it is. This is the first time I have seen it, Dragon. Believe it or not, I don't know how I missed this one as a kid. I think it probably came out. What year did this come out,
Well,
Dragon?
2000, hence the 20 years. So
2000. Okay, so yeah, I think by that point I might have been phasing out of DCOM. So I don't know. I think it might have been one of those things where me, like in the early 2000s, I was kind of like in my Lord of the Rings phase and my Spider-Man phase, so I wasn't really paying much attention to Disney Channel and Cartoon Network at the time. So I think I just kind of missed this. So this was my first time watching it, and I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it held up quite well. It's not a perfect movie by any means, but I absolutely think it's a solid top tier DCOM.
certainly. Final thoughts for me. Again, got a lot of nostalgia for the. I think not only do I have nostalgia for this, but I think looking back on it again, especially 20 years later, where we're at now, I think nostalgia for the movie theater is at an all time high, especially at the moment. But and I really respect what the film's going for. Celebrating the great institution. Via a decom. Kind of there's kind of a decom throwback to kind of a fan of the opera, and just giving like, hey, it's a little kind of a little spooky tie-in, but also like it's about kind of celebrating the institution. But in this case, we're celebrating kind of the it's like what if the movies that we go see kind of blend into the real life in a sense. It's kind of the age old. It's kind of the age old goal with a lot of things. You want to blend the lines between kind of entertainment, escapism, and reality, that sort of thing. I think this film circles that in a really nice, fun way. It's I wish maybe in places the fat was trimmed, perhaps again with the like the
I
love
will
stuff.
admit, it is one of the longer decoms because most decoms range on the 75-minute side, and this one
That's the
is,
thing. Maybe
yeah,
that's it.
yeah.
Maybe that's subconsciously. Maybe
Uh,
that's kind of like current to me as well. But that's the thing. At the end of the day, say we will. I mean, even people again. There's not a whole lot of love for this one compared to the other decoms, as you can probably imagine. Because this one, at the very least, it gets lost in the shuffle. Say what you will about it. And this thing, it's quaint. It's got
I'm gonna
Mickey.
say it. I think this is a better movie than Halloween Town.
I mean, again, I gotta love for it. I don't know though, because Halloween Town again. I think I had a good. I think the sequel to Halloween Town might be
I
better.
still have to
But
see Calabar's Revenge. I
that's
haven't.
what I'm saying.
I haven't
Calabar's
ever
Revenge,
watched
I
that.
recall, having some pep to it. So I don't know. Maybe at that point it's been a while.
uh,
Regardless, this thing it's quaint. Mickey Rooney, he's the highlight. He's absolutely the price of admission there. He'll tear the ticket for you. That Rooney. It's again things have changed in 20 years, and this is a throwback to a simpler time, and again it's quite a fun time. And again, like it's maybe not like like eek in my seat sort of Halloween fare, but you know what? It's quite nice. It's a
All
quite
right.
nice film.
All right, folks. That's the end of tonight's spooky selection, and our spirits grow weary. But they'll be stronger than ever next time as we engage in even more haunted holiday hijinks. Hooray for Hollywood!
Hollywood.
Hollywood!